Think you know the full story of World War II? Think again. Behind every battle and every victory, an invisible war raged. A war fought not with guns or bombs, but with logic, language, and sheer brilliance. This was the secret realm of the Codebreakers, the unsung heroes whose tireless work in hidden rooms and underground bunkers altered the very course of history. While soldiers fought on land, sea, and air, these men and women fought a different kind of battle, one of intellect against encryption, of human intuition against machine precision. At the heart of this hidden conflict was the German enigma, a cipher so complex that it was believed unbreakable. Every day, it changed settings, creating over 150 quintillion possible combinations. To the Allies, intercepting German communications meant nothing if they couldn't read them. To the Codebreakers, cracking Enigma was not just a mission, it was an obsession. In a quiet British estate called Bletchley Park, mathematicians, linguists, and cryptanalysts gathered in secrecy. Among them was a brilliant yet eccentric mind, Alan Turing, whose groundbreaking work on machine computation would not only unlock the enigma, but also lay the foundation for modern computing. Alongside him were thousands of others, many of them women, who worked around the clock, translating, analyzing, and deciphering enemy codes that held the power to sink fleets or save cities. The stakes were enormous. Each message decrypted could mean the difference between ambush and escape, victory and catastrophe. Codebreakers had to think like their enemies, predict patterns, anticipate habits, and exploit the smallest mistakes. A single repeated word, a predictable weather report, or a routine greeting could expose a weakness. When they finally cracked Enigma, it wasn't through luck, but through relentless logic and collaboration. The information they extracted, known as Ultra, became one of the Allies' most guarded secrets, so vital that even frontline commanders often didn't know where their intelligence came from. But Britain wasn't alone in this shadow war. In the United States, cryptologists at places like Arlington Hall and the Navy's OP-20G were breaking Japanese codes, including the infamous Purple Cipher. Their breakthroughs allowed the US to anticipate enemy movements, culminating in turning points like the Battle of Midway, where foreknowledge of Japan's plans led to a decisive American victory. Yet, for all their genius, these heroes remained invisible. Sworn to absolute secrecy, most of them couldn't even tell their families what they did during the war. Their work was so classified that it remained buried for decades. When the war ended, the machines were dismantled, the papers burned, and the participants dispersed. Many took their secrets to the grave, never knowing the full extent of how their efforts shortened the war and saved millions of lives. It's difficult to grasp the psychological burden these individuals carried. Working under immense pressure, surrounded by the hum of machines and the ticking of the clock, they lived in constant awareness that one missed code, one failed pattern, could mean thousands of deaths. There was no glory, no public recognition, only fatigue, secrecy, and the satisfaction of knowing they were striking invisible blows against tyranny. When the truth finally emerged decades later, it changed the way we understood the war. The Allies hadn't simply outfought the Axis, they had outthought them. The victory wasn't just in the skies or on the beaches. It was in the quiet corridors of Bletchley Park, in the rhythmic tapping of teleprinters, in the minds of those who refused to surrender to complexity. The legacy of these codebreakers extends far beyond the war. Their innovations in computing and pattern recognition became the bedrock of the digital age. Without their breakthroughs, the computers and encryption systems that define modern life might have arrived decades later. They proved that information, when understood, decoded, and used wisely, can be the most powerful weapon of all. So the next time you think of World War II, remember that not all heroes carried rifles. Some carried pencils, punched cards, and unrelenting determination. They fought an invisible battle, waged in silence, but won with brilliance. And though history may have overlooked their names, Their triumph echoes every time a computer boots, every time a code is cracked, every time intelligence saves lives. The codebreakers of World War II didn't just win battles, they redefined the very nature of warfare. They proved that sometimes, the greatest acts of heroism happen far from the battlefield, in the quiet war rooms where intellect, courage, and perseverance conquered the impossible.